BlackRock's going to own all of the Bitcoins. It's not. It's a client-driven thing. It's a fund.
Right.
And you buy a share of the fund, and that gives you your access to Bitcoin. It's not like they front run you into all of this stuff. But how I think about it is we've got two worlds out there, TradFi, crypto. And the ETF is probably, I think of these as I think of the crypto world as like a digital nation state in that kind of Balaji idea.
Okay.
And what we're building is a trade agreement. So you can get direct investment from the TradFi world into the crypto world. Maybe Larry's just slow to catch on. I mean, this is the reason I got into this space in 2012, 13, right? Because we had gone through the 2008 crisis. I was in Europe and went through the European banking crisis and the sovereign crisis. We thought all the governments were going to go bust and all of the banks. We had Cyprus where they took all the money off people's bank accounts. And so I realized that we needed an asset that was maybe a bearer asset that we can keep hold of. And the only one really was gold. And gold is not easy to deal with. You know, it's big and heavy, and you've got to get somebody specially to store it and all of this. And that's when I discovered Bitcoin at the time and how I could self-custody this asset. Nobody had a claim on it. And I think Larry's now seeing the ripple effects of that, you know, because this debt crisis keeps rolling, right? We keep building the debts, The economic growth is too slow to service the debts. And so the next phase of this was these regional banks. And Larry can look around him and see that JP Morgan essentially is eating the world. People have very limited choice here, and there's going to be an appetite for it. So, you know, what's interesting is an institution like BlackRock doesn't go into things lightly. Don't forget, they started talking about this in 2021. So we knew they were coming. So I imagine that they've probably been in this space since about 2017. And they've done the research and the work and everything else. Now, a lot of people say, well, BlackRock's got X trillion dollars under management. Yes, but they're kind of a lot of it's index funds and stuff like that. It's not like Larry waves his fist and said, let's buy $10 billion of Bitcoin. That's not how it works, right? It's a customer-driven business. They have demand, they sell it to their customers. So it was interesting to see somebody of that seniority at that level of the finance industry talk about the flight to safety. These are things you're not supposed to talk about. So how I frame this, again, there's a lot of noise online from people who haven't been in financial systems, like BlackRock's going to own all of the Bitcoins. It's not. It's a client-driven thing. It's a fund.
Right.
And you buy a share of the fund, and that gives you your access to Bitcoin. It's not like they front run you into all of this stuff. But how I think about it is we've got two worlds out there, TradFi, crypto. And the ETF is probably, I think of these as I think of the crypto world as like a digital nation state in that kind of Balaji idea.
Okay.
And what we're building is a trade agreement. So you can get direct investment from the TradFi world into the crypto world. So these are kind of trade agreements. This one, the spot ETF, and that allows money to come into the system, which the system desperately needs right now because the crypto economy's not been growing. Yes, we might be in crypto spring, so it's come off the lows, but the economy's slow. We can see it everywhere. The activity is not great right now. So what you need is some new investment. And that's what this does. It's a trade agreement between TradFi and crypto, but it doesn't mean that anybody's going to actually do the trade. They need to, you know, just because we've got an ETF, just because Larry wants to sell it to his customers, doesn't mean the customers want to buy it yet. So we have to wait and see. It's like we saw with the Van Eck ETH futures ETF. They did a big marketing campaign, did everything, almost zero volume.
Where do you see the state of Ethereum right now?
I think it's exactly where it would be after you've just gone through winter and it's a bit of spring. So if you think of what spring is like, one day's raining, one day's sunny, one day, you know, it's a bit meh, you know? And so ETH, there's plenty of stuff going on. Activity's relatively slow because NFT market, which is a big part of ETH, is in its bear market because it's an asset and it lags the ETH economy, like houses lag the US stock market, stuff like that. So it's relatively slow, but still it is the broadest based and deepest economy of all of them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, yeah, fine. It'll new stuff will come, new opportunities will arise. Yeah, I mean it's been quite a long winter, although most of the space bottomed in October last year. ETH bottomed in June. Then most of the space bottomed in October, and some alts are still bleeding now. So that's almost a year since the bottom was in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is a year since the bottom was in. So I actually think of these as 1 year down cycles, 3 year up cycles, with the first year and a half being kind of spring-like, and then we go into summer, and then we go into fall. So that all lies ahead for me. And it just feels that we just need a bit of liquidity to come into financial markets. We need any trigger. Maybe one of the banks struggles and the Fed has to do something. Maybe the Fed decide that, you know what, yields are getting too high now. We'll need to cap them with yield curve control. Or maybe they just see inflation falling fast and they start cutting rates. But all of that feels like it's coming into play, and the crypto market will start sniffing it out early. So if I look at most of the larger blockchains, they all have some underlying economic value being transacted. There's transmission, transfer payments, transmissions, all of that kind of stuff in XRP. There's been lots of things from DeFi to NFTs coming out of ETH. Bitcoin is its own thing, the store of value narrative, etc., etc. So we see that it's just not broken out to the big application.
Right.
Don't forget, when I got into this space was 2012, I said, well, the financial system's going to go on blockchain rails. Here we are 11 years later, we're still not there. We're just starting, right?
Yes.
But yes, it is going to go there. We see all the banks talking about it. They're all working on, they've got huge blockchain teams to figure out. And I was with some people last night here in Miami. It's like, the other issue is, well, if JP Morgan uses one blockchain, let's say they use XRP, and Goldman uses ETH, well, how the hell are they going to move the asset? So they need to solve interoperability. Because it's too much of a career risk then to choose the wrong blockchain if they don't solve that. But different blockchains have different attributes and will be good for different things. So my view on this bull market that lies ahead whenever it comes is it's more of an everything, everywhere, all at once bull market. Because it's my belief that a lot of people have been working on tokenization of real world assets, so the financial system. We've seen a lot of people experimenting with what we can do with NFTs. There's some big breakthroughs, like Solana can create 1 million NFTs for $100. Okay, well that means we can do ticketing. You're from the music industry. Why is that not all? Why do the tickets that we stick in a drawer to prove that we went to an amazing concert 20 years ago? Why is that not an NFT? Of course it should be. And what can we do with that? Hotel rooms, all of that stuff. So we've got that with DeFi. DeFi is probably going to split between KYC, AML, DeFi, because the institutions want to get involved, but they can't because of regulatory problems. And then there'll be non-versions of that. And then we're seeing a lot of brands and other people coming into the space and sports teams and that kind of stuff. So I think all of this plays out in the kind of 2 or 3 years ahead.